our presentation to parents about our move to a one-to-one environment here at Hopkinton Middle School. Once the school's operating budget was passed, we then had to try and find, it was not easy, try and find a date that worked. I know there's some conflicts tonight. I know Hopkins has a concert, which is why we've asked HCAM to be here tonight to be able to film this. We're going to try and be as brief as possible. Our 4 8th graders and myself are leaving for Washington, D.C. very early tomorrow morning. So we're going to try and, I'm going to lead with these guys and give them an opportunity to leave. And if you have any questions, you can ask them. And then after that, I'm going to ask the 4 of them to depart. And so the point of tonight was to introduce you to the initiative, talk to you a little bit what it's like from a student's perspective, from a teacher's perspective, why we're doing this, and then answer any questions you might have. So I'll introduce myself. I'm Alan Keller. I'm the principal. Krista Mercier is a grade 8 math teacher. Ashok Ghosh is our director of technology. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we have 4 students here: Sarah, Emma, Aaron, and Liam, who again are leaving very early tomorrow morning, but were willing to be here tonight. We also had some of their counterparts also presented to our faculty earlier about the pros and not necessarily cons, but things to think about as all of our school rolls out Chromebook for next year. So this current year, as you may be aware, our grade 8 math and science teachers had Chromebooks in their classroom this year. So the Chromebooks stayed in the classroom, but when students came into the math and science classrooms in grade 8, the teachers had a Chromebook for each and every child in the classroom. And so last year, around this time, when we proposed our budget, or we received monies for our budget, we purchased the Chromebooks and felt like math and science would be a good venue in which to try out the Chromebooks. And so it gave us an opportunity to see how they impacted curriculum instruction and assessment, how they were used in the classroom, and we felt, based on talking to students, talking to our teachers, that it was a tool that presented a lot of opportunities for our students. And although we still have needs outside of the Chromebook that we feel like a MacBook offers, we didn't feel like every single classroom experience required a MacBook. And so there will still be, and we'll probably touch on this a little bit later, it was a question of the incoming grade 6 parent night, but we will still have some MacBooks in the building. So when a teacher wants to do certain things that a Chromebook doesn't offer, they'll be able to sign out that card. But so I'm going to open things up to our students. Liam is going to talk to you first, and we'll hear a little bit about what this year has been like and how Chromebook has been in the classroom as an 8th grade student.
All right, hello everyone. So with the kids now being able to have the Chromebooks, they're going to be able to access the internet a lot more often, allowing them to get their research a lot quicker than they would normally be able to. And with that, they're going to be given a lot more homework online. So not as many papers, but there's still going to be a couple. But a lot of the homework is going to be online. There's also going to be a little bit more projects because they're going to be able to access that information a lot quicker. And the way that they will be doing all this is that they are given an account on Google. And when you have this account, you open up Google Drive, which the 2 main things that you will be using in Google Drive are Google Documents and Google Slide. With Google Documents, those are like your online sheets and homework mostly. There'll be some projects, quite a bit of projects on Google Documents. And when they'll be presenting projects in front of a class or for a teacher, they'll most likely be using Google Slide. And that's like your slideshow presentations. And they will go over this a lot more with you guys next year when you get them, but when they get them, sorry. But it kind of covers over all the things that they will be doing in class and at home a lot more efficiently and quickly.
Oh my God. Thank you. So we were lucky enough to get the chance to use the Chromebooks in math and science. And some things that I kind of took away from the Chromebooks and how they improved our learning is it really allows you to have independent work. And it encourages you to take initiative because it's online, it's like a different learning technique, it's just something new and something different than just working on worksheets all day. And my favorite thing about the Chromebooks is it keeps you organized, you don't have all these papers going everywhere, it all stays in Google Drive. and it just makes it really easy.
So really I think these Chromebooks are just an integral part for the transition from middle school to high school. Some of you may know that in high school you get MacBooks, little portable laptops that you use for school and stuff. So these Chromebooks are sort of like a smaller, kind of child version, I guess you could say. They really help you prepare, because of course MacBooks are $1,200 and very expensive. These are kind of like cheaper and, you know, a little less if you lose them or anything like that, but I think you'll talk about damage and stuff another time. So that's for a different story. So really, as long as your kids use them for their intended purpose, like learning and not playing games or music or anything like that, I think everything should run just fine. I think the best thing about using a Chromebook is that, I mean, you can take these dull, boring topics, as some people like to put, and really just make them more engaging and fun, as some of my fellows and peers have said. So really, it's just a great experience and a transition step.
Hi. So I thought that the Chromebooks gave you more valuable skills about technology and helped you learn in different ways than just doing worksheets all day. It would help you learn more about computers and Google Drive, and it gave you valuable skills for your future. And also these Chromebooks are stepping stones, so they help you transition from not using any computers and just being on worksheets all day to going up to these Chromebooks, which gives you a little bit more technology, and then going all the way up to the Mac. So it really helps you get a good transition. And my favorite part about using the Chromebooks is how you can access everything online and how it's all in one place rather than just a binder, which papers go everywhere. So it really helps you stay organized and focused.
All right, so we kind of took this presentation a little bit out of order in that normally we'd be presenting a little bit about the Chromebooks and Google, and then allowing the students to give you their perspective and then give you an opportunity to ask any questions to them. But because they're leaving really early in the morning, I wanted to have them lead the conversation. Before I send them on their way, is there anything that you wanted to ask the students before about the Chromebook and about the experience?
So my question is, so the kids are allowed to take the Chromebook home to do their homework?
So the current year, they did not take the Chromebooks home. The Chromebooks stayed in the classroom. As we move into next year, yes, the Chromebook will be going home to and from school.
So the question is, when they log in online and they're working on their project, is this monitored by a remote server or something on what access sites that they're looking at and what they're viewing? It's since they have
That's a good question. So we will be managing these devices in school and at home. So when they go home through something called the proxy server, that traffic, when they're surfing the internet at home, will come back through the school servers and through our filters. So look at the same type of filter that they have in school at home. So that will help allow them to navigate the web in a safe environment.
Okay.
Other questions, and I'll try to definitely answer the whys and the hows and the technical information, but if there's real specific questions about the classroom and the classroom environment, how that's changed, now would be a good time to ask some of the students those questions.
Note taking, will that be done on the pad or on paper?
I'll give you my opinion, and then we'll obviously let Mr. Keller give his, but I think this is going to be a theme tonight, but obviously this is really an evolution and an event. So as we transition in year one, yes, some teachers will allow students to take notes on these devices most of the time, but they're in transition as teachers get used to the new environment, a new one-to-one environment, and if they're not necessarily comfortable with certain projects or tasks that are taking place in the classroom, they may not be able to use the notes or the Chromebooks to take notes, if that makes sense. So in transition in year one, yes, the goal is to have them to be able to use them, but the teacher will still maintain control of the classroom by simply saying, okay, this task we're going to be lids down and we're not going to be using the Chromebooks. But all in all, the idea is to use these devices to become more organized moving forward. So the goal is having them for notes throughout the day.
I'll talk about that too.
And we'll get a teacher perspective as well, Matt.
Yeah, so just real quick, those of you who have children in grade 6, and grade 7 actually, know that we have spent an extensive amount of time, both Hopkins and us in the middle school have spent time with the landmark organization system and really getting that in play in the school in grades 6, 7, and 8. So in this initial year, so we also have agendas that the students use. We use the binder system. I think that some of those things can transition right into the Chromebooks, but I wasn't ready to, as principal, I wasn't ready to just to get rid of the binders and get rid of the agendas in year 1. I want to have both systems, and yes, it may be a little more cumbersome for students initially, but I want to see, I didn't want to throw away all paper initially. So we will be using the binder system. I don't know if that gets to your question at all, but we will be using the binder system as well as the agendas next school year. And we're going to spend the year studying to see if we no longer need the agendas, if Google Calendar is doing all the things that we want it to do, and if the binder system can be seamlessly integrated into the Chromebooks and into Google Docs in the way that we have been talking about, but we haven't actually utilized it yet electronically. Did you guys want to say anything to that about notes? Aaron, you do?
It also depends on like your child. I mean, I know personally I like taking notes like on pen and paper. Kind of don't really like typing because, you know, spell check, that can be annoying. But really just for me, it's kind of easier to just pull out like an index card, take a pencil and scribble down. But I guess it will depend on the teacher and what they have you do for what project.
And also, it like depends on what you're doing, because I noticed like in science this year, we've been like taking notes a little bit, like we've been taking them by hand, and then sometimes we'll go on the Chromebook, so it's kind of like back and forth, and it just depends on the activity.
Awesome. Yes?
I just heard like a lot of new research that there's more, you take in more if you're putting it pen to paper during a lecture than spitting it right out onto digital. So I would like to see it optional for the student to see pen and paper or put it into the computer later. Or is this my thoughts?
Yeah, thank you. Another question for students?
Just
Yes.
a practical question. When already now they're moving from one class to another class, their binder is really cumbersome. So now they're going to have their binder and on top of it their Chromebook. Don't you think they're going to have lots of accident happening?
The hope is not. We're going to get to some of that stuff. I just, if you can just hold that question if we don't address that, but that is definitely part of the presentation. So I want to let these guys, if there's any questions for them, go.
Yeah, so mostly for the students, like in the transition, how do you manage, like does it slow you down from when you're transitioning to this one? So like, different people may have different kind of challenges. What kind of different challenges actually you see for transitioning into Chromebook?
So just to repeat the question, I think I understood it. So are you saying transitioning from teacher to teacher, the different styles, how did that go?
And for mostly for the students, like when some students may kind of, do they kind of slow down when they go from the paper to Chromebook?
Alright, well, I know for math and science, I noticed that science used the Chromebooks a lot more. But for me personally, I'm not the best with computers, but she has, my science teacher at least, she had a system where everything was, we were all doing it on the same program throughout the entire year. So you just kind of started to get used to it. Maybe like the first 2 weeks you might be a little confused, which I was. But then I started to kind of get it down, and then by the end of like the 3rd week, you pretty much should have it down. So the transition between different teachers and having it just writing things down to the Chromebooks should be quite easy once you start to get into it.
Good. All right, so at this point, I'm going to let the 4 of them go home, do the last minute packing, get a good night's sleep, hopefully. Thank you, all 4 of you, for being here tonight. All right, I'm going to turn it over to a show coach.
All right, I think the goal tonight is really twofold. It's really to try to introduce the program, talk maybe from a mile high, give you a bird's eye view of the kind of the big vision, the strategic goals involved in the project, and then turn it over and give you a teacher perspective. We have Ms. Mercier here to give you a perspective on how it looks in the classroom. At the end, we'll try to wrap up with kind of the expectations for students and parents and try to answer any questions that you may have for us. So just to start with the vision, Looking at the 3-year technology plan, the district's worked over the last several years to put together a new 3-year technology plan. And part of that was coming up with a new vision. And so I just want to take a moment to read it to you that Hopkinton Public Schools is committed to providing a safe educational environment in which everyone learns and collaborates in new and creative ways previously unimaginable, and where technology seamlessly enriches our daily learning experiences. Typically, I promise I won't stand up here and read all the slides, but I think this is important. If we're going to promote a vision, I try to get it out there in front of the community as much as possible. And what really sticks out for me with this initiative is working towards technology that seamlessly enriches our daily learning experiences. Part of bringing in more technology into the district is crucial to having it be seamless. At this point, even though the district and the school currently has a laptop cart model, that is often difficult to manage on a day-to-day basis. Teachers often have to compete to try to get that card for the day or book it in a week's notice to get it for a lesson. And that's very time-consuming and difficult for teachers to manage. And therefore, it doesn't really fit into our seamless integration category. So we moved forward and looked at possible solutions to that challenge. And the Chromebooks seem to be a good fit. So what is the program about? How do we define it? Here are some definitions. So the idea is that every student beginning in the fall, or really beginning August 27th, will be receiving a Chromebook, an Acer Chromebook. That Chromebook will also come with a carrying case. To answer the question earlier, is there a likelihood that these will be damaged? Yes. They will be damaged. We know that they'll be damaged from time to time. That's part of doing business in a school. But they will come with cases. Each case will have a little shoulder strap. So our thought is as they walk from class to class, they'll have a shoulder strap. It's like a little shuttle bag with a side, and it has a little pouch for the charger in it as well. And they have a little individual name window. So we'll put in a name that goes with the computer, and that computer in that case will go home with the students. So the idea is this is a 1-to-1 ratio. So the one student, one laptop or computer is the definition. The idea behind the Chromebook, we looked at a bunch of different solutions, and because students have been trained and teachers have been trained for several years in the Google Apps for Education environment, it seemed to be a good fit. So students are already beginning now to work with Google Apps starting in 2nd grade. So the comfort level with these particular applications as they come up is quite high. So we thought that the transition, into Google Apps with Chromebooks would be a good fit. And the ultimate idea was to try to have a device present in a classroom day to day, so as teachers and students went about their business, they had that resource or tool to use in a day-to-day environment. So the background. Obviously, we didn't come up with this plan last year and expect to implement quickly. There was a lot of time and effort put into the infrastructure throughout the district and specifically the building. So over the last 2 years, we've spent a lot of time retrofitting and upgrading the wiring in the building and adding more wireless access points and providing a high internet, big pipe or a big fiber connection, which gives us a lot of internet capacity here in the district. So that when these Chromebooks came in, when you add 30 plus Chromebooks to a classroom, that has a lot of drain on the system. So you definitely have to have a system that can handle that. And we've done that over the last 2 years and feel that the infrastructure is now ready for this rollout. We've brought on new staff. So we have a full-time tech integration teacher who's a licensed teacher that is a coach and works with all the other teachers in this building to help train them and help integrate technology in the classroom. Her name is Crystal Hope. We have a full-time technician that will work in the building. As we move forward, these machines will be maintained and fixed and repaired in-house. So the students will have a place to come in the building. If they're having a problem with their device, they hand it in. We'll give them a loaner and off they go. So we put in some plans in place to make this as smooth of a transition as possible. Training, we've spent a lot of time training teachers and faculty over the last several months. We've started to build a critical mass of teachers in the building that have been Google trained. And we've been working with the staff over the last several months to get them prepared for this rollout in the fall. Just want to reiterate, this is an evolution, not an event. I do expect there will be Murphy's Law, and there will be some challenges along the way. But one of the reasons that we looked at the Chromebooks was really their ease of use and their ability to manage them. So we found that the management for these devices was really easy and really simple, and made it a good choice. So the rationale behind this, it really supports district initiatives and the technology plan, and ideally is supporting students for the 21st century. It's really about job readiness, and giving those skills that specifically focus on collaboration and creation that make these devices essential to the everyday learning environment. So the impact, after all of this, we're hoping to see some changes in the classroom with our students. We're hoping that this daily access will ultimately make the classroom learning environment more engaging, will allow students to have more specific feedback so that as they go through the curriculum, that feedback comes more instantaneously and helps change their path if need be. Ultimately, having these tools will also allow students more choice in the classroom as we move forward. Historically, students may have been given a project and that project was a specific outcome. Maybe you had to do it this way. It had to be a PowerPoint because we were limited by resources. We're hoping as we move through and transition that when a project or an assessment comes up in a classroom, these devices will give students choice in how they're assessed, which will allow them to hopefully learn more freely and will also support different learning styles that exist in the building. I covered and touched on a couple of these, but these are the focus areas for our training and our work with students and teachers over the next several years. I kind of hit on student choice. The other big one is differentiation, which hopefully you'll get that in a teaching perspective. But when we look at a common math classroom, some of the challenges teachers face today is that a teacher may have over 9 different levels of math in a classroom, that they're teaching students at 9 different levels. And so that is a day-to-day challenge for our teachers. And so we're hoping with this technology and these tools that they'll be able to differentiate in a faster and an easier way with students, which is really crucial when we're looking at student growth moving forward. So why Google? I'm going to try to play a short little clip that kind of summarizes some of Google's apps for education. Bear with me here. Hopefully the sound will work. Otherwise, we're going to have to do something real quick. So I'm hoping this is going to work. Okay, so hopefully, just to kind of highlight some of the key points from that video, if you hopefully picked up on some, I think the idea, they showed the Google Play Store. One of the ideas as we move forward is the ease of use and the ability to share resources with students is going to become hopefully much easier than it is now. And be able to differentiate resources by simply a click of a button. So there will definitely be books and other resources that we'll be able to push out to students really easily as we move forward. So that was a big piece of the management puzzle as we move forward with the system. The other thing that you see in the beginning of the video, security. So obviously Google's got their set of security before it hits our servers, which is a big part of going Google. And then it kind of hits our normal security layer before it actually hits the students. Virus protection, another benefit of having Chromebooks or working with Chrome OS. They're less likely to be infected by viruses, which usually means less downtime and more time on task or more learning time. So just to kind of highlight what Bob Harrison said, it's not the technology that makes a difference, it's the teachers. So I just want to reiterate that a lot of the resources are going to go into professional development for our teachers and making sure that the teachers still maintain control of the classroom and have choice in how the technology is used. So I'm going to have a teacher, Ms. Mercier, come up. She's an 8th grade math teacher and talk to you a little bit about her experience over the last year.
Okay. So Miss Sterling, who is the science teacher on my team, she actually posed this question to the students, and then she did a Wordle, and these were the words that the students, best described use of the Chromebook in the classroom. And the words that are bigger are the words that showed up more. So most kids thought that it was innovative, helpful, fun, and useful. She also made this video. She interviewed her science students.
How did the Chromebooks impact your 8th grade experience?
I mean, Chromebooks just changed my life forever because they're a more hands-on way for us to do our work.
Their size, they're so small. Also, it's really, really easy and fast.
It helped my typing skills, and it was more fun.
It's very productive.
Get some research projects.
Well, you can take screenshots of your tests and quizzes. And if you ever had a question on something, you could take like a screenshot and then you could like email it to the teacher. And they're really easy to use. I like that you don't have to like log on to the computer and then log into your Google account. You just log in. Major time saver.
My brother always complains that in college, all of his tests are on computers, so I think it'll help practice for college and high school.
I really like the Chromebooks because it gives a different, what's the word, approach to learning. Because normally we're just watching on a whiteboard, taking notes, and the Chromebooks make it a little more interactive.
How did the Chromebooks keep you organized during your 8th grade year?
You may be aware of the Google program called Google Docs or Google Drive.
And we can create folders in there to keep all our work online so that we don't lose papers.
All of it was in one place, so we didn't have to carry our binder.
It automatically saves on Google Drive.
You don't have to worry about clicking any sort of like save button or anything. Like as soon as you type something, it's automatically saved.
I can sign it anywhere at my home. So like if we had homework from school, I could just bring it home from the computer.
Yeah, and you didn't have to use like a flash drive or anything. And if you forgot it, it wouldn't be a big deal. And you never have that excuse. Oh, I didn't save it, so I don't have my homework.
Yeah.
And you never have that excuse, oh, I didn't save it, so I don't have my homework.
On a typical class day, what would you be doing?
You have to go on a blog and do a work.
Log in and then go to the blog. We would normally go to Miss Sterling's blog. It looks like this, where everything is. You can look really easy. Yeah. Right now it's Palindrome Week. And then, as you can see, we have MCAS reviews. And on the right side, there's some fun stuff, like a sci-fact. The blog will usually have an enter ticket. It's always the first link. We click on that. This was a link from the blog. It's what we're doing today, which is MCAS review. And I can put it, this is the questions, and then this is the answer sheet. So I can put it on 2 different tabs. It's easy to share on Google Docs, so you can share documents with your work people.
You can go on Google Docs and do a page while other people are.
Hashtag this is sick. Hashtag innovation.
Hashtag parents are going to be watching this, so they're not going to understand what you're saying.
This is great. This is like the future.
Of now.
Taking care of business. Taking care of business every day. Taking care of business every way. Taking care of business. It's all mine.
Okay, so that was Sarah's view of the Chromebooks in science. So in the grade 8 classroom, we've talked a lot about the Google Drive, and these are the Google Docs and Google Classroom, which is a way to, it's kind of like your Facebook feed, if you're familiar with that, but it's a way to share assignments and announcements with the class. This is a QR code that science has used to just kind of create something a little more interactive for the students. In my class, we use this algebra website. We use Kahoots, which are kind of game-based, so for all the kids who really enjoy games, this brings that into the classroom. And in the presentation from Ms. Sterling, you saw like a bunch of student names, and she posts like the kids who place in the top 5 each class. They kind of get some public recognition. They get to go on her blog. And then with Desmos, this has sort of replaced, well, not fully replaced, but the graphing calculators. They're able to investigate how different equations are affected when you change different parts. So they really, and they use it. They're like, oh, we should have used Desmos for this activity. And then gizmos are just an interactive thing that science and math uses. So interactive notes, I know a parent asked about this. And right here, I had the students, we were doing an investigation about height and arm span and if there was a correlation between the two. And students had a document and they collected names of their peers, and then they completed the entire assignment on their own, and then they could turn it in Google Classroom. It keeps it well organized in their Google Drive for them, and then I'm able to grade it. This graphing systems of equations, we did an investigation with the students, and if you notice, my co-teacher, Mrs. King, and I, we set it up so that everything was color-coded. So anything that had to deal with Mrs. Armstrong was in red, and anything that was for Mr. Armstrong was in blue. The same thing happened down here when we did two-way tables. We had it set up so that everything was color-coded. So this red box right here, when you talk about joint frequencies, they just look in their box and they're already red. So yes, sometimes we will also have a worksheet where the kids are highlighting, but this was an introduction activity, and each kid has this in their Google Drive forever, and it's already color-coded, and there's no student has it wrong. Nobody color-coded it the wrong way because of the way that we were able to set it up. For reading and writing, Ashok talked about how you can have differentiation within the classroom. So something we do is we have students choose an activity they want to do. Now this will be opened up more and more as the technology grows, because we can just change the venue that students share their information. So, you know, we have create a poster. Well, now we can also create a presentation or create a movie or, you know, a multitude of other things. for research skills, the students researched the moon, and then they did this activity which mirrors Instagram, and they had to create hashtags, and they had to, they were talking in the language that they speak every day, and it was related to their astronomy. So gizmos and interactives, this is the algebra website I was just showing you earlier. The kids love this because if you practice math wrong, you're not practicing it. So this website automatically gives them the answer, and it gives them the explanation. So students, this is great differentiation. They can work at their own pace, and if they're stuck, then I can go over and I can help them. This Kahoot, this is the game-based activity that we use a lot of in the classroom, and the kids absolutely love it. Ms. Sterling talked about the entrance and exit tickets, but we can do an assessment on the Chromebooks right when the students walk in, and we can then quickly see what they did right or wrong. So on this one, I actually color-coded it so I can see this question. I need to go back and teach it. And I got this automatically, and it was graded right away. As soon as they walked in the door, they filled it out, and then I was able to see what we had to review from a homework assignment or from a quick quiz as they walked in the door. So my students, they just completed their virtual trip to Disney, and one thing I just want to show you is the collaboration. Kids are still collaborating. So last night when I was looking at their projects, this student Kyle had left a note for his groupmates. You guys just need to do the sites we used in the photos page. So they're collaborating, they're not even in school. He left this for them, and then they knew what they had to do. This right here, I have a student who found a great website resource. So this is within my Google Classroom. He put the link right in there. So then every student gets an email with that link, which was very helpful for them to complete their project. And then over here is just a slide from one of their projects. They're very good at creating presentations. Another thing about differentiation, we are getting ready for our math final in 8th grade. And we have created this. This is something that I will push out through Google Classroom, and students can differentiate. So they will complete these online quizzes. These are all hyperlinks. So they go through, they complete the quizzes, it grades them for them, and then they know if they know this material or they need to review it. And they just go through at their own pace. So they're not waiting for other students. If this is something they're really good at, they can skip it. But this is just for them, and it's differentiation at their own pace. And then this is an add-on through Google Drive where you might have heard the term flipped classroom. So this is an add-on that allows you to watch a video, but then take notes over here. And if this were a live actual document, I could click on 1:50 and it would go back to the video at 1:50, and this is what the student wrote, the length of the diagonal. You must first find the hypotenuse. So they can take live notes while they're watching videos, and if they ever want to go back, they just click on it and it brings them right to that time in the video. So at home, how are you going to use the Chromebooks? You're going to check the blog or online team homework calendar for homework links. Sign into your Google Drive. You saw that student who said you don't have to log into other things. It's really useful. You don't have to have like a flash drive anymore. And you just have to make sure your Chromebook's charged. These are the goals of the program. Well, so these are some frequently asked questions. So are the students staring at a screen all day? And the answer is no. I did not use the Chromebooks a lot at the beginning of class. It was more of an extension activity for my students. So once they finished what they had to do in class, they were able to get the Chromebook out. And then slowly I've been using it to enhance their learning, and they really, really like it. This virtual trip to Disney, I had students come in and be like, I'm so excited to work on this math project, which hasn't really ever happened for me before, so they were really excited. And another thing that Ashok was talking about was like the safety when they're at home with their computers. I actually bring my Chromebook to and from school, and the other day I was trying to watch a Taylor Swift video and it was not allowing me to access it through YouTube because I'm using the school Chromebook. So it definitely works here and at home. Do the devices need to be charged frequently? And the answer is no, they hold their charges very well. Will it replace all other class materials? And the answer is no. You will be getting that list from the school in early summer. And you'll notice that there are still a lot of materials because a Chromebook's not going to replace, especially I can say in a math classroom, it's not going to replace all of my instruction because kids have to learn math by doing math. So it will enhance their learning and offer them different opportunities, but it's not going to replace what they've done. And then how can you best support your child at home? Make sure that they're charging it. It's going to have to be one of those things that's just set in place and it's going to have to become a routine. And then make sure that it's in their bag before they leave in the morning. Any questions?
Thank you. Since it was mentioned briefly, and this, I just want to reiterate a transition. So I think one of the questions we often get is, will books go away? And not all books are going to go away for many reasons. Some will come online and be digitized as we move through this new process. But it takes a long time and a lot of money to transition books from paper or analog versions to digital versions. So this process will begin this year. Some resources may come home on a Chromebook in a digital format, and some may not. But typically, as it exists now, a lot of the textbooks that we use have digital or web-based versions of those textbooks, so they can access them digitally if they need to. So that is a transition. Another area we're looking to transition in, which won't happen automatically, is moving to what we call kind of a learning management system. If you've ever taken an online course before, you might have heard of Blackboard or Moodle or some of these other programs where you can put a course in the cloud. And so this is in essence what Google Classroom is. It's not a full learning management system, but it is a good device to kind of manage the day-to-day activities of a class. So teachers will begin transitioning to this product over time. Some teachers are already using it, but the goal is to have some sort of digital presence in the cloud where teachers and students will have access to goals and objectives, assignments, and this will ultimately provide them a way to digitally turn in homework. So I'm going to show this quick video and then we'll move forward.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Two things. What if they lose or break the Chromebook, or what if they forget to take it on the day of class? Will they get another replacement in school because all their stuff is on it?
So good question, and I'm going to repeat the question. So the first one I'll talk is about damaging. So what if they break the device? So these are district issued or school issued Chromebooks. The Chromebooks are owned by the district. These are funded through the operating budget, or not something that will be leased or purchased by the parents. Okay. If it is damaged, it's accidental damage. It's not negligent abuse on the product. The school will fix the Chromebook in-house, so the student just has to bring it to the technician. The technician will give them a loaner. They'll repair their device. When it's ready, they can come by and pick it up. If there's habitual negligence, it's a different story. If some student is constantly running over their Chromebook, then we'll have to talk and work out a way to help pay for that repair. And just like any other piece of school property, if you're negligent with a book, there's obviously some cost involved. But initially, if there's damage and it's not negligence, the school will cover the repair. That being said, and this is some of the expectations at the end, but if a Chromebook is stolen, all that we ask is that you file a police report. So if it's in town, that you file with Hopkinton Police. If it's out of town that it's stolen, that you file with that town where the device was stolen. Once we've received that police report, we can kind of submit through our insurance or get the student a new device. We do know that happens from time to time. It's not the norm, but it does happen. Part two of that question, one of it was if they forget their device, what happens? So initially, if they forget their device, the day of school, they come in, we have loaner Chromebooks that will be available for them to sign out from the library or the technician's office. So they come in, it's in our library system, and we scan it out to them, they have that Chromebook, they use it for the day, they return it at the end of the day. That's if they forget. Over time, if that's habitual, and we see that students are constantly forgetting their devices, then the handbook rules will take place, and there could be some school consequences associated with that, just like not being prepared for class. Same idea. There's another part, a twist to your question. I don't know if I answered. Did I get them all? Or is that okay? If it comes back, let me know and I'll hit it at the end. Okay? Other questions regarding those topics? Yes?
Oh, I just have a quick question.
Yes, so we made the decision, the administrative team made the decision to get locks for the lockers. So locks will be coming in July. All students will have access to the lock, so that they'll have a safe place to store them if need be.
So if they forgot to charge it in the home and they come to the classroom, the charge is totally out. So will they be able to plug in the classroom?
Yeah, so the question is, what happens if they forget to charge or forget a charger? They can also loan a charger from the library if they need be. We'll also have an extra spare charger in each of the classrooms so that they will be able to charge in class or borrow a charger for the day. Okay.
Will parents be able to access their assignments or any calendar for the projects or deadlines independent of having to without having to log into their Google account?
Yeah, so I mean, there are team calendars and websites that exist, or what we call our digital hub. We're moving towards a more common structure for that, so that homework and assignments are in similar places, so it's easier for parents to navigate. So we're currently working on that, but some teachers do have existing blogs or websites where that information is posted. We are working towards having a common calendar, a Google Calendar that's kind of shared as we transition. That being said, if you want access, for example, to your students' Google Drive, where most of their schoolwork is held, then you can obviously ask your student, and if they're not complying, you can work with us and we can help you so that you can log in and see their work, which is quite acceptable. Do you want to add to that, or am I on target? Okay.
Two questions. First is, have you had any network or internet availability outages this year at all?
Outages? Yeah, the question was, do we have any internet outages? And I could say, quite honestly, that the main fiber connection we have through Comcast, I don't think has been down more than a few seconds, maybe
the entire
once.
pathway, wireless, everything, all the way from.
We've had a few classrooms where we've had some firmware issues. We've had to update and some issues with vendors in individual classrooms that we fixed, but that seemed to be the major issue.
So the classroom went down for an afternoon, or were they not able to do the stuff? Or?
I think I would imagine there could have been maybe a classroom down for 30 minutes at one occasion. I mean, it definitely varies depending on the incident and the type of issue. But overall, I think we could speak and ask the teachers, but I think overall it's been pretty good. And we do have a full-time network admin now on board that's dealing with those issues, which is
high penalty when it does go out. That's all.
Yeah.
The other question is about using all these Google accounts. They're very convenient. They're free, but they're not really free because the terms of use, are they different, the terms of use for Google account for the rest of us?
What I've read in my research with Google, looking at the legalese of the Google language, is basically Google has promised not to share or sell our data, student data, to vendors, but that they have the rights within Google to do what they want with the data. Meaning they can use that to develop new products. They can look at research trends with the student data and decide to develop a Google Classroom tool, but do not have the right to sell that data elsewhere. That's my understanding of the data.
One more question. How do you keep up with the filters that need to be in place, especially with new websites constantly popping up?
We have whitelists, blacklists. We have a network admin monitoring the site, our presence, our digital presence on a day-to-day basis. We have a bounce back email or a request email, so if students really are interested in having a website or blog, they can email us, the network admin, and our team looks at it, assesses whether it's something we want to bring on. So those issues are being monitored and managed on a day-to-day basis. I mean, for the sake of this audience, I don't know if I want to spend too much time getting into all the details of it, but if you want to have a conversation with me afterwards or speak with our network admin, you're welcome to do that.
Are the kids taught how to type if they're going to use this for grades in their school?
My understanding is there's some teaching classes at Elmwood School that are happening, and I don't know what the frequency of that teaching is. And Mr. Coward, do you want to address?
Because what if they didn't get that when they were there, and now they're going to get
Yeah, so at present, we're still in the process of looking at what next year's schedule is going to be like. That's, for anybody that's been part of the middle school for a couple of years, we've had a couple different schedules over the years, and we spent this past year as a scheduling committee making recommendations and gathering feedback. So we're in the process of hopefully finalizing what our schedule looks like. So why am I giving you that little preamble? It's because one of the things that we're looking at next year is, like we had last year, which is having periods of enrichment and intervention. And so one of those things that we've talked about as a school is having some keyboarding as part of that, and recognizing that many of our students don't have those skills. And at the very least, obviously being able to share with kids some websites that they can go to. But yeah, it's definitely an area that we, as well as many parents, have expressed concerns about.
Other questions? Well, there'll be time at the end for questions, so I'm going to play this video and then we'll move forward. So this is just an intro video to Google Classroom. Okay. So here's some learning tools. I obviously don't want to stand up here. I don't work for Google, so I don't want to be up here saying I'm here to sell all the Google products, and I don't get any kickbacks from Google. But what I can speak from my experience of working in this district for the last 5 years, Google Apps for Education has been a tool we've used almost that entire time. And the benefit of that is that we have a number of professional staff that are trained to use those tools effectively. So that's where some of the real power is. So when you combine that with its ease of use, its security, and its ability to leverage its sharing and collaboration ability, it's quite a powerful tool. And so I guess I'll leave it at that as far as why we've moved and looked at Google. That being said, that's not the only tool or resource we're going to be using with these devices. There are other resources that will be available to our students. And here's some of them. So example, some questions about Chromebooks are, can we use them to create videos or edit videos? It's a web-based product. There's no local applications really. And the answer is yes, there are some web-based tools. One of them we'll be using, for example, to create videos is a product called WeVideo. So WeVideo is just an online video editor. So the students can import videos, edit them, and use them to make projects. So that's one example of another tool students and teachers will be using. We've also got some things built in that help organize documents, like DocHub is a tool that students can use to organize PDF files. So if they need to fill out a form or create a form, they'll use those types of tools to do that and help stay organized. So responsibilities. So the school responsibilities, I think we've covered some of these, but I'll go over them quickly. The school will provide a web filter. That web filter takes place in-house and also works at home. We will maintain the Chromebooks as long as there's no deliberate abuse. We will provide the digital tools and resources. And we will provide a loaner and locks in case a student damages it and has a device being repaired. We will provide a loaner while that product is being fixed. The parent-student responsibilities. We're asking that students are responsible by bringing their devices charged every day. I know that's a challenge. I have 2 young kids and I know it's a challenge to get them to do things. But it takes time and training, and our hope is that most of them will come charged every day. If not, we have a backup plan if they're not charged. We're asking that students and parents take a look at the acceptable use policy if you haven't already. It's nothing new. It's the same district policies that exist. On top of that, we have a new one-to-one handbook that will be made available to you shortly. I would ask that you review that and some of the information with your students so that they're understanding all the rules and regulations that go along with the devices. And then we've touched on the police report if a device is stolen. We also have some digital hubs ourselves, so if you're looking to follow us, we have a Twitter account. We also have a blog that's called HBS Digital. That covers the whole entire district, but it's a really good spot to visit if you haven't visited that site. It's got all sorts of information on the one-to-one program. It also has a blog which covers some of the day-to-day activities of the classroom. So if you're looking to get a sense of what's happening with tech integration in the district, that's a good resource to check out. There's lots of information. That's hbsdigital.org. I think that takes us to our questions. And I'll ask, if you have questions that are school-based or more focused than Mr. Keller, that you ask those first, because he's got a busy night of packing before he heads to DC. So, and then I'll stay and answer any other technical or program questions that you may have.
Question.
Sure.
About tests and exams, will they be on the Chromebook or will it be like?
Well, when you say tests and exams, let's say maybe your typical chapter assessment. Initially, some teachers may have a digital version ready, some may not, as we move forward in the fall. Some of the formative type assessments, you saw some teachers showing you like a quick check, so maybe when some students come in and they need to do a quick check, that might be digital, that might be analog. The long-term plan, depending on what the state decides to do with park assessments, or what we call our next generation assessments, will eventually be web-based or online, and these tools will be compliant to allow that to happen.
Sorry, I just wanted to interject before the next question. This slide, and this came in an email home, but I just wanted to make you aware of these 2 dates again. So August 27th, excuse me, are when we're going to present students, and the presentation to students is basically going to be about the things that they need to be aware of, and all the things that they're going to be responsible for, similar to what Ashok just summarized. We're also going to talk about some of the exciting things that Chromebooks will do in the classroom, and then they're going to be able to pick up their Chromebook after that presentation. And so as you can see, we're asking you to be present for that pickup as well. They'll be signing off on a form indicating that they received the Chromebook, and also that you and your child has read the one-to-one manual. And so those are important dates. We also recognize that people do stuff in the summer that's not school related, maybe not be here. So the date at the bottom is an opportunity to pick up the Chromebook. And then ultimately, if that doesn't work, then we've got a plan C. But I wanted to point those dates out. Okay, so sorry, back to questions.
Just had a question. They had mentioned earlier about a list for the next upcoming year for books or whatever they need to buy.
Supplies, yeah.
So, do we have a list or?
Yeah, so we're actually in the process of finalizing that list. So we were pretty close to being final. When the school's operating budget was finalized, we wanted to take one last look at that to see if there's anything like earbuds was one of the things that people had talked about being really important for students to have. So we're in the process of finalizing that. It should be finalized in the next week, and then we can send that out again before the end of school to get the supply list out to parents, yes. And a question back there, yes.
Yeah, hi. So I would think that the teachers have a wide range of expertise and creativity with technology. So is there some minimum expectation you have for all the teachers in terms of use?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think as the show talked about, the phrase that this is an evolution, not an event. So we've been spending the past year building up, because everybody's had access to Google in terms of teachers and utilizing it. The science and the math teachers had everyday, daily access to a device. But everybody had access to laptop cards. So we've been spending the past year building those teachers' skills, and we sent a group of teachers to a Google seminar in which they then came back, and we've now had 3 different professional development opportunities where teachers have shared that piece. And so our role, and the role of, as Ashok mentioned earlier, Crystal Ho, the technology integration specialist, is to be working with teachers and building up that. So there's certainly there's I guess there's an expectation that everybody's in some way utilizing the Chromebooks. We also, on the flip side of that, we don't want, it's part of the expectation is that they're not going to be staring at screens the whole time they're in the school. And our students, when they talk to the faculty, mention that, is that also keep in mind that we want to be able to talk, and sometimes we want to be thinking about, this is a group project, and 4 of us are sitting here. We don't always need to be sitting here looking at a screen, collaborating on the computers. We can actually still have those conversations and then go to our Chromebooks. Sorry.
And I would just add to that I think, is there a hardcore mandate, for teachers to do those things? Not yet, but I think the goal is, when I talk digital hub, there is an expectation, as Alan said, there is an expectation that they have a digital hub, that they have certain things available for students to see or parents to see. That being said, a lot of the training that's been done is focused around what we call formative assessments. Will that look the same, in every single classroom? No, but we focus around a few goals, and one of them being personalized learning and formative assessments, where we're using the tools to try to quickly gather information that can help guide instruction is more of a focus. Will it look the same in math and science? Maybe not. So hopefully that gives you some insight into your question. Yes, sir. Sorry.
We know we won't be here for the student presentation, so could you have like a recording or something of that, so that of that student presentation? No?
It's not going to vary too much from this presentation. Besides, maybe you want to add to it. So I don't know if we have HCAM scheduled yet, so I don't know if that's going to be an HCAM broadcast, but if there is a variance from this presentation, we'll definitely try to make that available to parents. Is that sound fair?
Yeah, will you be available on the 1st? Not to get into a very individual. Okay. All right, so we'll figure that out. Okay.
I had another quick question. Sure. So right now you're rolling out to grade 7. In future, do you have plan to go in grade 6? Or
the devices will be in grade 6 this year. Yeah, they had their own separate meeting.
Okay.
Because they're newbies to the building, so they get all the special.
So what extent it goes? Like, is that the same extent as grade 7, or it's you're going at a lower? More.
The implementation is the same.
Implementation is the same.
Yeah, same timelines, same expectations of teachers.
So on an average, how much time they will spend on each day?
I don't know if I can answer that question, to be honest. Depends on the unit, depends on the activity, the lesson. I don't have a strong number for you.
Two quick questions. How do you ensure that students don't use Chromebooks just to chat with each other in class while instruction is going on?
Well, one of the benefits of Google and the management piece I talked about is that we have the ability to control and turn different features on or off if need be. So, for example, Google, Chat is a feature that comes with this product. That won't be turned on, for example. That being said, there's always ways to circumvent, right? Students are very creative, and we try to teach them to be creative, so they'll come up with creative ways. So I think a lot of it is teaching them responsibility. And part of preparing them for the 21st century is teaching them those skills to self-monitor and self-assess and to be able to start to determine what's right and what's wrong in an educational setting. And that does take time, but some of the feedback that we've gotten as we move through our high school program is that it's tough in the beginning, but students are glad they've had that opportunity to self-assess and self-monitor before we ship them off to college where things are wide open.
And the other question I had, I heard the students say that in high school they get MacBooks. So I'm wondering why this shift, and will Google Apps not be used in high school?
No, well, that's correct. So the high school program is there's options with it. So there's a BYOD option where you can bring your own device. Could be a Chromebook, could be a PC, could be an Apple, or if you choose, you can lease a MacBook through the school. So students will have a choice in what device they bring there. The common piece between grades 2 and grade 12 is the Google Apps for Education suite. So that's a cloud-based solution. You can get Chrome on an Apple, you can get Chrome on the Chromebook, you can get Google Apps on an iPad. So the devices change. We tend to use tablets in the elementary schools, and that changes as we go up to high school. But the tools and the platforms are consistent throughout. So we don't see a huge disadvantage to students as they switch devices because some of those platforms are consistent. Yes, ma'am. When is the guide? The manual, I believe, is due to be released in version 1, June 14th.
Yes.
June 14th is our expected due date for that manual. I believe we will do a listserv, I believe, to all the parents. And it will also be posted, please visit our HBS, that's my plug, for hbsdigital.org. It will also be posted there. Other questions about the program, devices, building-based questions? All right. Well, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. I know it takes a lot of effort to come here on a night